All right, hello world. This is working. So, um, today is Monday, October 7th, 2024. It's 2:54 p.m. This is the Indiehacker co-work live stream. No, it's the lunch live stream. So let me change this. Lunch. All right. So I just ordered some Korean food, and let's see. And I ordered some Korean food, and I will watch. We will watch this video on the gateway process. So I've been going down the rabbit hole of the gateway process and watching some videos, and this video is called. It's by the Morgue Official channel. It's called How to Hack the Hologram of Existence, Life-Changing Information, The Gateway Process, Part 3. And so this channel did a whole series on the gateway process, the CIA assessment. So let's watch.
This is a mental reality because it's a reality that is.
And what I have is this Korean chicken, and this looks like sausages, onions, egg, and a tomato, and then kind of tomato sauce, and these tteokbokki, which are these rice noodles, so good, and some kimchi, carrots, sausages. This food is so good. So, and learning about the hologram of existence. Hopefully this is pretty visible to you, and you can enjoy this.
Not based on something that exists independently from the mind. All is mind. All is mind, and this mind is mathematical frequency. This mathematical frequency is formally mathematically structured, but we experience it as well. We experience it as color, sound, hopes, love, dreams, feelings, emotions, pleasures, and pains. So reality has this formal aspect to it and also this experiential aspect, and it is mind. Now, the reason that it is mind is why people have this intuition that reality is dreamlike. People have this intuition that reality is a dream because it is mind, and your dream is mind. So reality itself is a dream, but it's a collective dream. It's a dream that we're all having together, and it's a stable dream, and it's a long dream. It's one that is stable and persistent. It's not exactly the same as a dream you have when you go to sleep. When you have a dream when you go to sleep, it's a different environment all the time. It's very chaotic. It's dependent on your emotions, etc. This is a long, stable dream because it is one that is collectively formed by all frequencies of existence together. It becomes very stable because of the sheer amount and collective aspect of it. You can kind of get intuition of this, sort of kind of like a video game. Between like playing single player or connecting to a online server with a lot of people. Both are video games, but one is single player, and in single player, let's say you can enter cheat codes if you want and change things around. But when you play multiplayer, you all log into the same public server, and everything is very, very stable there. So that's sort of the difference here. So you have reality as being dreamlike, being code-like, but it's also holographic. Now, why is it also holographic? And let's read a little bit more of this, and then I'll talk about the holographic aspect, which is the main point that we're talking about here, because they're going to get into it. But
what's the first thing you do when you wake up in the morning? If you're checking your phone, stop that. Instead, try this technique from the mind science pioneer.
The point to be made so far in this document is that they are saying reality is not material. Everything. The human being, the brain, consciousness, and everything is nothing more or less than an extraordinarily complex system of energy fields. Why is this important to know with regard to hacking reality or hacking the hologram? Because you have to know that what you are is not different from all aspects of reality. Everything from the furthest planet from us, the furthest star, to all the different dimensions, to frequency domains, etc., is all fundamentally the same substance, which means you can interact with it, you can access it. It's not something different. If it was something different, then you'd have a problem. How are you going to be able to access it? How are you going to be able to get to it? If you were just a purely material brain, well, there would be a problem. You'd be finite, you'd be confined. But you're not just a material brain. A material brain is what allows you to connect and experience this physical world. And they're going to actually start to explain that in this document. So let's move on so we can continue here. So this section is called holograms. It says energy creates, stores, and retrieves meaning in the universe by projecting or expanding at certain frequencies in a three-dimensional mode that creates a living pattern called a hologram. So more or less, they're talking about what we have been discussing. Let me read that one more time and then explain this. Energy creates, stores, and retrieves meaning in the universe by projecting or expanding at certain frequencies in a three-dimensional mode that creates a living pattern called a hologram. So reality is nothing but energy, nothing but frequencies, and these frequencies can project itself as an internal hologram. So what does this mean? This is not like a hologram that you see in sci-fi movies that's projected externally and you can wave your hand through it like in Star Wars or Star Trek or whatnot. It's not like that. But it operates on the principle of holography. Now, holography is where you can take information and you can express that information in different ways. So you can take frequency information and express it. So basically in actual holography, you have wave interference patterns on a two-dimensional surface, or approximately a two-dimensional surface, which is a plate. You shine a light through it and it projects a 3D image. So basically you have three components here, okay? When you are constructing a hologram, you have three important aspects. First, you have the light or the laser called the source. Then you have the holographic plate. And then finally, you have the hologram. This is really important because reality operates in a very similar way. So remember, three aspects: the source, the holographic plate, and the hologram. The source is the laser. The laser shines onto the holographic plate. The holographic plate contains a wave interference pattern, which is an interference pattern of frequencies. Now, this wave interference pattern contains the information that will construct the hologram from that interference pattern. So basically, you have the source, you have the laser, it shines on the holographic plate, and then that holographic plate, with the light permeating through it, and the light forms itself according to the information in the holographic plate. The holographic plate is constructing how that light forms. That light forms into a 3D image. So reality operates in a similar way, okay? So there are three aspects to reality that's important to understand: the source, the frequency domain, and then the space-time domain, or what we call the holos. So the source they're the pure frequencies of reality. The frequency domain is the domain of mind, in which those frequencies form different patterns, different frequency functions. And then finally, the space-time domain is the projection of the frequency domain, or the transformation of the frequency domain. In mathematics, this is known as Fourier mathematics. And Fourier mathematics is used in everything from signal processing in radios to your smartphones to televisions to Wi-Fi, like everything, almost everything you can think of. Fourier transforms are used in some way or another. This signal processing of frequency information being transformed into space-time information or time information, depending on how you're using it. So you have these aspects to reality, which is the source, and then the source. But gives rise to the frequency domain, and the frequency domain projects the space-time domain. But you can see that it's all reliant on the source. If you were to, so if you're imagining the hologram, if you're imagining like a real hologram, right? You have the laser, you shine the laser onto the holographic plate, and then the hologram appears. If you were to shut off the laser, well, the hologram would disappear. So you can see that the hologram is dependent on the source for its existence. So just like physical reality is dependent on the source domain for its existence. If there was no source domain, there would be no physical reality. And this source domain is the domain of pure mind, pure frequency. And this is why we say there's no such thing as matter, because matter is that which can exist independently of mind. Nothing can exist independently of mind. If you were to switch off the source, all would vanish, because the physical domain is dependent upon the source for its existence, which is mind. So the physical reality is a manifestation or projection of mind. And so there is no such thing as matter, matter meaning something that can exist independently of mind. Everything is an expression of mind. Another way to understand it is in terms of water and ice. If you think of water like mind and ice being like matter, you can see that ice is just a different form or transformation of mind. Okay. Wow, we have a lot to talk about. So let's move on here. There's so much more I could say about that, but I want to continue. So now this is a section in the document called the consciousness matrix. So
the best side hustle to do in 2024 is to get a fully remote online job that takes 2 hours a day to do and that pays $6,000 to $12,000 a month.
It continues. The universe is composed of interacting energy fields, some at rest and some in motion. It is, in and of itself, one gigantic hologram of unbelievable complexity. So here we're talking about, again, how it's just interacting energy fields, or we can understand it as interacting frequencies. And it says some at rest and some in motion. The frequencies, quote unquote, at rest are the frequencies of the source. They're the pure eternal frequencies. These frequencies are sort of the building blocks of existence. And from these frequencies are formed the frequency domain. Well, what's the frequency domain? It's just what happens when you get frequency functions. Well, what are frequency functions? They're just frequencies combined in certain ways. So you're taking the fundamental frequencies and you're combining them in certain ways. And then the projection of that is the space-time domain, or the holos, which we call the holos, which means the whole. So you have the frequency domain, which is dependent on the source, and then the holos, which is dependent on the frequency domain. So the document continues. According to the theories of Karl Pribram, a neuroscientist at Stanford University, and David Bohm, a physicist at the University of London, the human mind is also a hologram. Okay, so this is important. It's all right. So according to these a neuroscientist and a physicist, Karl Pribram and David Bohm, and we could talk a lot about David Bohm. David Bohm is fascinating. So according to them, the human mind is also a hologram, which attunes itself to the universal hologram by the medium of energy exchange, thereby deducing meaning and achieving the state we call consciousness. So let's just pause there for a moment. So this is important. How come you can have access to the hologram of existence? How come you can have access to the hologram of existence? Because you yourself as a mind are a hologram. It says the human mind is also a hologram, which attunes itself to the universal hologram.
So he's breaking down how the hologram works, and a hologram is this is a model of the existence and universe and reality. And that our consciousness is like the laser, the holographic plate is the world, and there is no material world. It's all following this theory. So going into some physicists that actually promote or like just or study this kind of this theory, and I brought out some. I finished the food. It's eat about half, and then we'll save the half for tomorrow probably, or later. And now I got a fresh pear. There's like it's a big pear or peach. and Vietnamese seasoning salt for fruit. So this is like a very common dish. You can buy these like on the streets or just in many places. You just buy some fruit with this seasoning salt. And the pear is ripe, but it's kind of like, it's a different type of pear that doesn't get that sweet. So it's kind of a little bit sour, a little bit just plain, but it's very good still. And it's just a little bit sweet. So let's return to this video.
So you're having the hologram tuning itself to a hologram. And this is what we call tuning, by the way, where we can tune into different aspects of existence. So, important to understand, you are not a brain, you are an eternal mind, a system of eternal frequency patterns. Now, you aren't just a hologram, you're also a source yourself, okay? So just like reality, there's the source, you as an eternal mind have a source as well. So you are a source, and then you have your own holographic component as well. What does that mean? Okay, so you can understand this in terms of dreams. You yourself have a source, a frequency domain, and a space-time holos holographic domain. As above, so below. As the universe, so are you. Know thyself, and you will know the universe and the gods, because you are the universe and the gods. So just like there's the source, the frequency domain, and the holos, so too with you, you are a source, your own eternal source. So you are an eternal mind that has its own frequency domain and projection of that domain. What's the projection of that domain? When you go to sleep and dream. When you go to sleep and dream, you're exploring a dream world that is composed of the projection of your mind, your own internal frequencies. This is why dream work and dream analysis is really important, because you're literally exploring a world constructing from your internal frequencies, and you can learn a lot about yourself by exploring this projection of a holographic projection of a world within yourself. So this is where you can understand that reality is an internal holographic projection, not external, internal. Just like when you go to sleep and dream, it's an internal projection, not external. Also, it imitates, not imitates, but it is all facets of reality, meaning this is a solid hologram. It's not like a hologram that you see in sci-fi movies where you can put your hands through it, you can touch it, you can feel it, you can taste it, you can smell it. All these different experiential, phenomenal experiences are part of the quote-unquote hologram. That's why I don't, if you notice, I don't talk in terms of hologram too much in my videos, because I find that it can be confusing, because when people think of hologram, they think of sci-fi movies. I like to talk about reality in terms of being a code, mathematical frequencies, a dream. Even though these are all correct, people get confused sometimes, I think. But so it's important to remember that reality is holographic, but that doesn't mean like a sci-fi movie. It's just, you can even look up the holographic principle. Leonard Susskind is a big proponent of the holographic principle. He's a physicist who believes that the universe is a holographic projection from black holes, that black holes serve as a 2D surface that hold 2D information for projecting the 3D holographic world that we inhabit. So, just so we're clear on that. So it's important to remember, you are not a brain, you are not a body, you are an eternal mind. You as an eternal mind link to a brain. And how does one link to a brain? Well, the brain is just a space-time function. You're a frequency function. So you as a frequency function can receive information from, that's what a body and a brain does. It feeds information. So you can as a mind, what you do is you tune into that body, which is a vehicle, and you tune into that information that it's feeding. It's kind of like putting a VR headset on. When you put on a VR headset, now you are tuned into the VR world. We'll use an eternal mind. When you are tuned into and linked to a body, you are now being fed the information of the physical world, the information of the space-time world. But that's not what you are. You are an eternal mind that is simply tuned into the physical world because of the brain, body, and nervous system. When you go to sleep and dream, you're no longer tuned into the physical world. You're tuned into your own internal world. You have tuned into...
So this video is pretty long. It's already 52 minutes long, and it's quite good though. And it's about 30 minutes in. So I just got this t-shirt, and it's too heavy, too thick to wear in Vietnam. It's hot. It's a very hot climate. So I made it into a sleeveless shirt. And it's pretty good, kind of a bit wide. But it's better like this than being really very hot. So this is very interesting. I'm interested in this this model of reality as a hologram, and this will become really interesting. I think much more relevant to our world once we are in a post-intelligence world, which is probably like 1 or 2 or 3 years away. And then what that means is like we have total knowledge of ourselves, and knowledge becomes the cost of knowledge and of intelligence drops down to 0 as our AI models become superhuman. And so what he's describing is the Matrix also. Like, it's another kind of mythology that articulates a compilation of all of humanity's religious and philosophical work. So to me, this resonates in terms of like what's true, what like true in the sense of well, it's potentially true, like in an intuitive sense. Like you have to use your intuition at the same time as you use the logic, the zeros and ones. So I'm just gonna keep going down this rabbit hole the next couple of days, weeks, months. We'll see we'll see where it goes. So follow this channel for more content on this, and we will take this journey together. It feels like a journey, like a path. It's like we're discovering. I've been discovering things on the gateway process, like getting into the meditative state and getting into hemisync. It's a state that is synonymous with health, wellness, performance, truth, beauty, goodness. It's being in harmony with yourself, with the world. So do things that that bring you into harmony with yourself and with the world. That's my message to the world today. Do things that bring you into harmony with yourself and with the world. So that means like be kind to yourself. Like, don't work yourself to exhaustion. Because like you often maybe like you want to achieve a goal and you just think like go after it, but really it's about the music. It's about the it's about the journey, like a dance or like a music piece of music. I'm trying to describe here something like that is starting to sound a lot like Alan Watts' the meaning of life as being like a dance or like a song, and there's no point to it in terms of like getting to a point and like just thinking about that, but it's actually about the the process. So like imagine a song, if a song had a purpose or something, then eventually it would just be like 1 second long, and it would just be like a chord, like a crash or something. But that's not it's not what life is about. And that goes into some depth, into layers. So I'll end this stream here. Thank you for tuning in. Ending the stream with a meditation, a radiation of love and gratitude and peace to everybody, all the people on this planet, in this city, in this continent, in this country, and in this hemisphere, and in the whole earth.